What makes you immediately lose romantic interest in someone?
When you come to them with a problem and they turn it into a conversation about them.
When you realize they only listen to reply, not to understand.
If they constantly make you feel bad for them. Felt so bad and was so worried about him for so long that the one time I needed the emotion I couldn't have it.
Talking at you, not with you.
If they say the words "I know I'm an asshole, bitch." Like, okay, I'll take your word for it. Also, if it becomes apparent that they have no self-awareness.
When they don't know the difference between being funny and being obnoxious.
They enjoy putting other people and their hobbies down.
If all of their exes were toxic or crazy. We all have one or two bad ones, but seriously it's not always that.
Doing dumb things and should know better. We had a new guy join our Friday social group. Very nice guy. Attractive. At the bar, he took his old gum out of his mouth and stuck it to the bottom of the table. Really? So trashy.
They're obsessed with their ex.
Don't know how to act in public / are unaware of feelings other than their own.
If they ask how many cavities I have had throughout my life and then check my mouth like they're buying a horse.
If they don't have a romantic interest in me.
Selfishness. I am very considerate of others and I am slowly learning that I think I need someone that is too.
When they start to pull you away from the rest of your friends in order to get their attention, those who refuse to acknowledge when I feel uncomfortable and guilt trip me into doing things I don't want to do.
When they have seemingly no opinion, no voice. When every answer is I don't care or I don't know. Like Jesus Christ, I'm trying to find out what you like so that we can talk. Gimme something.
When they have double standards.
Chewing tobacco. I'm also not a fan of smoking, but it's not necessarily an instant deal breaker like chewing tobacco is. The truth is, I have seen too many men who would sit there and chew tobacco and then spit it into an empty Dr. Pepper bottle, and it grosses me out more than I can express.
Watched her share a lollipop with her dog. Not she ate it and let the dog finish it. She had it in her mouth for a while then gave it to him for a minute, back and forth like that until it was gone. Gross.
Went out with a guy once who talked 90% of the time, 85% of it being about how much money he had made. How much he spent on his now ex-wife. All the nice cars he had. I picked him up because he didn't have a right to meet up. He was legitimately confused why I didn't want to spend the night with him when I went to drop his ass off. Never saw him ever again. Edit, my first silver. Thank you, kind stranger. Smile.
Anyone reading down this comment section looking to improve themselves?
If they shit in the shower. You think it doesn't go on, I'm here to tell you it does.
Being rude to customer service people.
Was with a girl and driving her home, she sparks up in my car, she just continued to smoke like it was just an okay thing to do, then put her feet up on my dash.
If they are judgmental or tend to jump to conclusions before they know the whole story. Or, worse, if they combine these two. I guess because I've been burned by this in the past. It really makes me feel like the person isn't being fair. If they are biased toward believing bad things about people, I'm not going to fight to overcome that. Partly because I shouldn't have to, and partly because it won't really work. It's a relationship dynamic that I know I don't want.
If they give an ultimatum in regards to choosing between a longtime friend and them as a partner. Edit 1. Thank you very much, kind stranger, for the silver, greatly appreciated. Edit 2. I've read through most of the replies and something I wanted to clear up was, I honestly don't think there's ever a situation where you should accept an ultimatum like this. Cutting someone out of your life, regardless of whether they have a positive or a negative impact on you, is a huge decision that should not be forced upon anyone by a third party. In saying that, it's definitely the role of a partner, friend, etc. to highlight to you if someone is indeed a toxic piece of shit that shouldn't be kept around, but again, the decision should never forced upon you. Just my 2 cents.
Ghosting you, then suddenly popping up out of the blue when they want attention. Yes, Brittany, I know what is happening when you call me. You're scraping the bottom of the barrel and I resent the fuck out of being the bottom. Wait, that could mean another thing, but you know the thing I mean.
When they look at me with that heartbreaking expression that says, you're weird and I don't understand you.
Bad oral hygiene.
Aggression, abuse and unhealthy addictions.
generally being unhinged. You can tell if tiny things upset someone to where it ruins their whole day. They won't be able to handle the big things.
Rudeness and chewing with their mouth open. I don't need to see your tonsils while I'm eating, it's just rank.
I've shared this before, but one time I was out on a date with this girl I met online. I thought she was very attractive and we seemed to hit off well through texts. We're at this bar and she suggests we play a people watching game where we try to make up backstories for the other people there. I thought it sounded fun, especially since I played a similar game with friends on the train sometimes. Plus it felt like a good icebreaker to get us talking. Well, she managed to take all the fun out the game by being ridiculously cruel in all her assumptions for no real reason at all. It felt like she was projecting issues she had onto these people. Like one guy was sitting at the bar alone, could have been waiting for someone, you never know, but because he was alone he was a fucking loser with no friends that hates his life. Completely killed the mood and I lost interest in her after that. Couldn't see myself going on a second date with someone like that.
If they say I love you on the first date. Creepy F.
When you discover that they're actually a potted plant.
Telling me who I can or can't be friends with. Screams insecurity, and raises the question of why I shouldn't be friends with them. If they were my friends from before, why are you trying to get me to cut ties? If they are your friends from before, what have you told them that you don't want them to tell me about? Constantly comparing me to your ex. I'm not them. If you want me to be them, break up with me and get back together with them. Trying to change me because it's sexier. No. I will not start smoking because you think it's hot. Sorry. Making pedophile jokes and then wanting to hang out with my little sister. This one should be obvious. Not being able to take no for an answer, even with little things. If they don't listen when you say you don't want to eat X because you don't like it, are allergic/aren't in the mood for it, what makes you think your opinion is going to matter later with bigger things? Self-deprecating constantly. I get the humor, but not on the serious level.
Bad dental hygiene, and little to no effort when having sex. If you have sex like a dead fish I'm not interested lol.
When I find out they have a kid. I know it's shitty to say, but it's the truth. I'm nowhere ready to have a kid in my life. No matter how much I liked the person, I wouldn't be able to commit.
Biggest turn off for me is when they make fun of people with disabilities. I have a couple friends on the spectrum, with Parkinson's, with Huntington's disease, Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy, and the like, and when someone makes fun of them or tries to avoid them like the plague, it is my biggest turn off. No one should ever treat another human being like they are beneath them because of how they are born. Same if they can handle me standing up for people in those positions. I will get up and tell someone to apologize to my friends if they are being rude or making fun of them, and if they can handle that then I'm not with the right person. If they are rude to service workers. Also if they don't like animals. I'll give a pass if they're allergic.
Being a lazybones and not putting their cart in the cart corral.
Not being able to talk about anything. Why did you even message me in the first place if you don't plan on even actually talking? Funny enough, when I kindly tell someone it's not going to work out because of this, that's when they have a lot to say lol.
When you take a 1.5 hours train ride into NYC to meet up when she gets out of class only to be ghosted. Don't really feel like I should have an emotional investment in the girl like that.
Not having any goals or aspirations. I was talking to this one girl, and we wound up cuddling a few times. But she refused to get a job and lived off her parents. She could work, but chose not to and had no plans for later in life. Bye.
Creepy red flags like stalking.
Most recently had a guy joke about me being his sugar mama and cooking and cleaning for me if I let him crash on my couch for free. Dried me up real quick.
If they have no interest in giving me an orgasm.
When they said they are an anti-vaxxer. True story. This girl was really nice, so beautiful, like a supermodel, came from a really good, rich, successful family, but then she said she didn't believe in the way they give vaccines because it gives kids autism. I totally thought she was very smart, but after this not so sure. We had known each other for a few years, so this was a big shock. This was the first time I ever experienced the attraction literally disappear as we talked. It was so crazy and sad. Bye girl.
If they display impatience or a short temper.
Playing hard to get too much or for too long.
I have a tendency to judge people by how they treat kids, pets, and the frontline workers in retail and restaurant establishments. If somebody treats them like shit, then that's an instant turnoff for me.
Them shitting on the floor.
If they are closed-minded and don't put effort in.
When they turn into the moon.
Lack of effort on their part.
Was excited to take a cute girl I met while bartending on a date. Picked her up at her place, and before we got to restaurant she had somewhat bluntly informed me that she hated Willie Nelson and dogs. It was over before it started.
When they repeatedly interrupt me with completely non-essential non-sequiturs.
Talking to you, clearly interested in you, nice to you. And then when you're all smitten over him, realize they are doing the same thing to 5 other girls at the same time. I have never stopped liking someone so quickly.
Clinginess. Bitch, I need to breathe.
Treating me or my animals like shit. I'm going to paint a big red target on myself with this one, but I lose all interest in someone if I find out they have BPD. I know and understand that there are plenty of people out there that are able to manage it with medications and therapy, and live fairly normal lives. But I was physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially sucked dry for 2.5 years by someone with BPD. And I've had to start attending therapy because of it. She dragged me through the lowest points of hell. Never again.
Shitty excuses for shitty behavior. My ex liked to make bitchy comments, and when I tried to get her to stop, she'd just say something like, "That's just the way I am. Get over it."
When they start constantly fishing for compliments or constant attention seeking, or treating you like their personal therapist. Anti-vax or flat earth.
If they suggest poly, swinging, or cuckolding. I am strongly monogamous and have zero interest in that stuff, and if you feel I'm not adequate then I'll just cut ties and say adios. Play. Even if she says she wants another girl on our relationship, I will still say number. Same time, also people who tell you you can't have platonic friends. Nothing wrong with having platonic friends because friends are just friends. People who are infatuated and have no personality because they're focused on a singular thing. Such as politics and religion. Like, I understand being in touch with your culture and religion, but if you demand I change everything and become what you are, then it's not going to be a healthy relationship. But if politically you are incredibly winged, then I'm probably not going to be interested at all.
When they use their cats liking you or not as a sign of how the relationship will turn out.
Bad hygiene. Wash your fucking hands. Unintelligent behavior. Smoking. No offense, but I don't want any of that.
Spitting on the ground. If it's an emergency. Like swallowing a bug. I get it. Just randomly spitting on the ground? Gross. Major turn off for me.
No sense of humor. Bad grammar. Lack of vocabulary. Seeing them treating others badly, especially service people, or other socially embarrassing actions.
You can tell the age of the commenters here by the reasons they give.
It's having no interest and hobbies. The empty people. Gossiping of any sort is a huge turn-off. That and controlling characteristics are the red flags I keep an eye out for.
If they like me. That's a colossal red flag that something is wrong with them.
When they cross the cringe line. It happens for me once when they insisted on giving me a breakdance lesson in a pub.
Not having their own opinions. Just copying your opinions because they want you to like them. It's annoying in the fastest way. I know it won't work.
Not asking me any questions, only talking about themselves.
Finding out they have children they forgot to tell you about.
Not being discreet. If you tell your friends personal stuff about me, it will be over. So lack of respect is a big interest killer, playing games or trying to not hurt your feelings. Just tell me the truth. If you don't want me anymore then fine, but tell me ASAP and directly. No hints, no games. Tell me straight up.
Women who think when a man is vulnerable it makes him weak.
Disrespect, rudeness, too pushy, signs of racism, sexist. No signs of intelligent thought, too basic, boring, no interest at all in who I am, just in how I look. If they don't like Nickelback.
Jealousy. I'm an extremely loyal partner and would never dream of cheating on anyone, for any reason. But I'm still going to have friendships, communication, texts, and such with friends of your gender. I'm still on good terms with my exes, etc. If that makes you insecure and suspicious, then you're effectively insulting a very red line important part of my character, my loyalty in a relationship, and that by itself means it's never going to work.
They chew with their mouth open.
Playing hard to get. If you act like you're not interested, I'm going to assume you mean it and stop bothering you, not risk harassing someone on the off chance that the initial rejection was some kind of mind game.
If they're mean to animals.
If they have a bully-type personality, if they tell me think positive thoughts and you'll not be suicidal or depressed anymore, your PTSD flashbacks shouldn't determine your emotions and I've heard this from a couple of people, you could be gay, I don't have a problem with that, but bisexual is disgusting.
Obsession with Jesus. You can be a Christian without going bonkers with it.
There are only two types of people who automatically turn me off romantically. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch, when they talk like they have never attended an English class in their life. Couple months back there was this really hot guy that gave me his number. When we started texting it felt like I had to thoroughly explain everything. He also used shortcuts for everything and used too much slang.
It would be nice for someone to have interest in me in the first place, because I've been single nearly my entire life, minus 5 days.
When they tell me some variation of I can have sex without emotions or that they're non-monogamous.
Being environmentally unaware. If you're driving with her and she throws garbage out of the window, drive her home immediately, because contrary to her, you know how to dispose of trash properly.
Wife of 15 years got deep into conspiracy theories. Tried to convince me of some crazy shit over the summer. I moved out in August and we're working on the divorce. There were other issues, but that was my clear nope the fuck out moment. I just lost all respect, which pretty much undermined everything else.
Bad breath, being rude to the waiter, when they only want to talk about themselves. A big one is when I'm dating someone and they start asking what do you think of me, do you like my looks? Things like that. For some reason I have this happen all the time and it comes off as insecure and fishing for compliments like I'm dating you, what do you think I think of you? Dicks, I mean as a straight guy it's a serious turn off. I've been trying to get better at this. It was the only way I knew how to relate, but I realize I don't always need to relate. A solution isn't always needed. I don't have to be able to relate to something. I just need to be supportive of their feelings and listen. I have a friend that is really good at this. Whenever I'm talking with her about a problem or something that's bothering me, she is always super supportive. She doesn't say things like maybe try. Or I would. She's super mindful and I want to be able to do the same for her. I have a family member who does this all of the time and it drives me bonkers. She interrupts with what she thinks I want to hear or thinks she knows what I'm leading to, then turns the topic to her. I often have to tell her no and I wasn't done yet. It's not malicious in any way, she's just completely oblivious.
My girlfriend of 7 years constantly does this. It ruins almost every conversation we have.
Fishing for pity is not attractive. If someone is telling me something sad, fine. If someone is telling sad things so I will feel bad for them, manipulative sympathy, then I cannot get out of there fast enough.
Yes, to me a conversation is a back and forth activity. I just quit seeing a guy who never let me respond to anything when I did. He wouldn't even respond and kept blathering on.
It's amazing how common this is. 5-ish years ago, after breaking up with my ex, I spent 3 months on OkCupid saying yes to every guy who asked me out, unless he said something that made me think he was a creep or we had literally nothing in common. Anyways, ended up going out with probably 20-ish guys in the time period and every single one, except my now fiancé, went exactly like this. Me, asks questions about their life/likes/interests. Them, talks for 10 minutes and then stops. Me, says something about what they said to try and connect us. Yo, you just moved here. I remember when I just moved it was tough. What brought you here? Them, ignoring the connection and talking more about themselves. Also them, never ask me a single question. Like why go on a date if you are not interested in learning about the other person at all? Question mark.
I honestly wouldn't mind going on a date with someone really passionate and something, and I could be an active listener. I'm used to having to carry the conversation.
Conversely, not talking at all and letting you do all the talking. Can't stand one-word answers to clearly open-ended questions. To everyone in line, please ensure you have reached an acceptable medium between too self-aware and not self-aware enough.
When I've heard that, they usually say it like it's a character virtue.
Ah yes, the infamous I know I'm an asshole, but that's just who I am. If you don't like it then that's not my problem. Goes for all genders, and for each is highly problematic and a definite red flag.
One of my exes openly and proudly proclaimed that he was a dick pretty early on in our dating. He surely was, and I will never ignore that massive red flag again.
Thank you for watching. We publish amazing Reddit stories every day. If you are new to this channel, please subscribe to keep the dog smiling.